Hey gang, welcome back to the Genre Files. This week is foreign films. I knew right away when foreign films was coming up that I would do a horror film. There are so many good foreign horror films out there that it's just crazy. But what to pick? What to pick? Well, if I'm going horror, I have two routes that I would want to go if I go foreign. I go Italian or Asian. And I thought, since we talk a lot about Italian horror between, me and Mike and stuff like that, I would go with the creepier of the two and hit up some Asian horror, which, if you are really into creepy horror, you need to hit Asian. I mean, a lot of times it's not only creepy, it's super gory, but if you want a ghost story, I'm telling you, that's where you need to go, is to Asian horror. The film that I watched for this week is, I actually have it with me in the car, A Tale of Two Sisters. It's a Korean film, very stylish. I'm not even going to attempt, and I tried to memorize names in here, but I'm not even going to attempt. I lived in Korea for over a year, and I didn't learn a damn thing, okay? I just don't have the tongue for foreign languages. No matter what, I always mess it up, so I'm not even going to disrespect it that way. So there you go. It's got a lot of very well acted Southern Korean people in this. How about that? So the story is about a girl and her sister that come to their dad's house after, I believe, they were in the hospital, and they get reacquainted with their stepmother, who, for lack of better terms, is a bitch. She is just overall mean when nobody's looking. She greets them at the door with, just in their face kind of, "Hey, I'm so glad you're here. I made dinner, blah, 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 blah." And from that point on, it's just, she really seems like she doesn't like the younger sister in this film. Okay, you're basically getting that. You get that a couple times throughout the film. All right. And this is one of those stories. These Korean, or these Asian, any of them, Japanese, Chinese, Asian, any of the Asian horror films, it's so hard to talk about any ghost story, any film surrounded by a ghost story, it's hard to talk about, because a lot of times there's mystery involved and what happened. Okay, so it's really hard to talk about this, and I didn't think about that until after I watched it. I was like, well, how am I really going to talk about a film that I can't really talk about? So we'll just go into some specifics. It's very well acted, very well acted. The language barrier is what it is. It's no problem for me. I don't mind paying attention to subtitles. This is one of those that a lot of times subtitles, if you're watching the film and you're not paying 100% attention to the subtitles, you're still good. There's key moments where you need to know stuff. This one, you pretty much need to know. You need to follow the subtitles, because there's a lot of conversations in this that could get mixed up later in the film. If you miss them, you're totally discombobulated later. There's some gore in this, but I wouldn't even call it gore. It's just, how about there's some blood in this? There's some blood involved. So, Mike, it's safe to watch these. I know you don't like the gory stuff. This is your type of film, believe me. know, it's these Asian films have such style, and they come from the stories usually come from folklore, which they have a ton of folklore. They have a ton of creepy folklore, which is like, wow, it sucks to be you guys. So, I mean, it's just a lot of good story. Now, a lot of it's rehashed over the years into different stories, and this one is too. It's not a remake or anything like that, but it is a telling. I have heard this story before throughout film, a couple times actually, different ways told. You know, it's not exactly the same, but it's the same folklore used for this, and it works every time. There's no but at the same time, even though I kind of knew the folklore, it took me a while to put two and two together to what I was watching. And had I not seen this story before, this fairy tale folklore thing, I probably wouldn't have caught on as quick as I did, because the story really is well thought out and well done, and it's such, man, they have such good myths over there and stuff like that, handed down from generation to generation, that just they're so spiritual that it makes it twice as good as when you see one of these films, and you can see just how strong their stories are. When we try to remake them, they don't even touch the surface, like Ju-on and The Ring, which are the same film. Well, The Ring's a remake, but it's just nothing. I mean, it's not even close to as creepy. This film is a ghost story that it isn't creepy. What was the tagline I read? It says wonderfully creepy, and I guess that's a good way to put it. It's not one, there's no, you don't have to worry about jump scares. You don't have to worry about anything like that. It's just a true stylistic, psychological horror film. How about that? That's the way to put it. I very much enjoyed it. I had bought this a long time ago. Somebody on Facebook or YouTube had mentioned it. It could have even been Dave. I don't know. And most likely I've seen it on the Asian Takeout Facebook page. But I bought it and then just lost track of it. And when I went to do my foreign film, my first instinct was to do Thirst, which is another Korean horror film by the director of Oldboy, which in all rights is a decent film. Okay, I put it in, I started watching it, and I just couldn't pay attention. I found myself on my phone. I found myself, pausing it every now and then. I may have even dozed off at one point. I said, man, I can't do this. It's just not keeping my interest. It's a vampire film that just isn't, it really doesn't appeal to me. I mean, it gets a lot of praise, and I can see where the style of this, the way it's filmed, or the story, the style of the story itself is unique, and it makes for a good vampire flick, but it just doesn't do it for me. So I grabbed this one off the shelf. Hadn't watched it yet. This is when I find out that I have 2 copies of it for some dumb reason. Both of them with the same pawn shop sticker on it. So there's that. But yeah, I really enjoyed this film. I really recommend this to anybody that likes Asian films, they like horror films, they like psychological films, ghost stories, just anybody in general like that. I'm sorry that this is so vague, but it's just not something that I want to throw at you. I'm not. Some movies I don't care to just talk about in general like that, but there's some movies that I just will not go in and spoil for people because I had such a great time with these. So there. Tomorrow, I hope to have, I don't even know what I'm doing anymore. I know I have films from A to Z, and I know I'm going to do a very spoiler-filled solo review, so look out for those. So until next time, thanks a lot, guys. Game over.